So most of us have seen films like I, Robot, 2001: A Space Odyssey, even The Matrix. And in each of those, we get to see the dangers of computers and robots becoming sentient and then deciding that humans aren't necessarily a good idea in the long run. Unknown Killer Robots, it's the second in the Unknown documentary series on Netflix. It begins to dive into the potential dangers and benefits robots can have when imbued with artificial intelligence. Deep in the heart of the military industrial complex, a new kind of soldier is being developed. AI powered robots are changing the face of warfare and increasingly making their own decisions on the battlefield. Unknown Killer Robots follows the soldiers and scientists racing to build these technologies and the activists on a mission to expose their dangerous potential. Now, I thought this was going to be way more of a cautionary tale than it actually is. There are several interviews and case studies that showcase how AI is being utilized in robots and computers with an attempt to keep people safe or even find potential cures for diseases. And all this can be great, but we also learn about how it can be perverted. And that's really where I thought this documentary film was going to focus. And it sort of does. One of the interviewees is that of an ex-Navy SEAL who is now working on an AI-powered drone that can be used by military or even police to scout a location before people enter a building. The AI is designed to seek out threats and notify humans of the dangers and where they lie. Now, I think it's pretty cool to see this in action. The documentary also showcases how a pharmaceutical company is utilizing machine learning to discover new molecules that can be used in the treatment of diseases. The computers can run through thousands and thousands of possible combinations that would take the human counterparts much longer to do. And again, this is a great case study on how machine learning and AI can be of a positive use and benefit to mankind. But as always, there's the flip side, and we get to see how inventions created by researchers, scientists, even engineering students are now being co-opted and modified for wartime scenarios. And I get it. I mean, with unmanned assault vehicles, less physical lives of combatants are put into harm's way. Well, at least those on the side with the technology. Now, it's freaky to see some of these in actual motion, and we get to hear about the devastation these can cause. I mean, especially when the technology begins to leave out the human counterpart completely. A former soldier gives a real-life situation involving how children have been used as scouts to inform on advancing positions. Now, under the laws of war, these kids become combatants because they are participating. But a human soldier, ideally, would look at a child and then choose not to act against them, even though the soldier could do that under the laws of war. But if it were just a machine using AI and its programming, would that child be spared? Or would the unmanned and completely autonomous robot choose to follow its directive, adhering to the letter of the laws of war? Now, the philosophical and the hypothetical questions that are raised in this, I think they're good ones. But I also think that the documentary is more unbalanced to lean more towards highlighting the advancements of machine learning and artificial intelligence in robots than fully examining the risks and negatives that could arise. And I'm not saying that the documentary completely ignores that angle. I just don't think as much time is given to the other side of the argument. Now, I was actually bummed that the documentary didn't include a story that my friend Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday had told me about, where this Air Force AI-powered drone killed its human operator because that human was keeping it from accomplishing its objective. Now, maybe it was just too recent of a story, but it certainly fits into the narrative when some of the interviewees are taking up the position that we need to be cautious when venturing into unmanned assaults, especially when the computer programs have the power to decide certain actions for themselves. If you enjoy seeing robots fumble and fall, there is a segment that can be entertaining, but also a bit unsettling. In one instance, there's a dog-like robot that has kind of a monkey spider-looking face. I mean, I wasn't into it at all, but watching it learn to walk and maneuver over varying terrains, it was fascinating, especially as we can watch the thing just slip and fall and then repeat the maneuver and do things differently the next time. It's impressive, but it's also terrifying at the speed at which it begins to learn and adapt, and then succeed. We've had all of these books and movies about the dangers of technology advancing to the point where humans become irrelevant, and now, especially, it feels like all these engineers and scientists just ignored the cautionary tale portion of those stories and used them more as instruction manuals. Now, just like in the first of the Unknown series, this film is actually pretty short, just an hour and 8 minutes. So, it's not going to take long to watch it all. That being said, though, I don't think this was an overly strong entry into the series. The info is captured well, and there are a lot of examples that are given, but it did feel unbalanced in the pro versus con aspect of machine learning and the use of AI and robots. The interviews are intriguing, and the subjects all do a wonderful job of explaining ideas and concepts so that they're easily understood, even if the content itself is daunting and complex. The documentary also showcases a lot of impressive footage, some of which puts audiences right into the mix to get a real time view of the actions a robot is taking. At the end, though, I was a bit underwhelmed by this one. It's not a bad watch, and the information is interesting. It's just not one to drop everything to watch immediately. There's no sex or nudity, little profanity, and some violence. Now, as a reminder, I don't give documentaries a couch rating, but this is just an okay one to check out if you're looking for something to watch. I mean, it's not the best or most in-depth look, but it is a good starting point for a discussion on the positives and negatives of the power of AI-driven robots. So what are your thoughts on AI? Are you in favor of developing it further and further to see what it can do? Or do you think that it's a dangerous endeavor that should be approached cautiously, or maybe not even at all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.